Well, good evening, everybody. This is our sixth day in Rome. Today was kind of a day of decompression after all the excitement of the last couple of days. I had no NBC responsibilities, so I was able to kind of wander around Rome a bit this morning. And I had a very prayerful time. It was like a little bit of a retreat. I left the hotel here and I went to the Chiesa Nuova, the new church, so-called, the church of the Oratory, associated with St. Philip Neri. In fact, St. Philip is buried there. And I just prayed for about 20 minutes, then I heard the bell for Mass, and so I attended Mass at that church. Then I wandered over to the Pantheon, and those who have seen the Catholicism series know that that figures very prominently in the segment on the church. And I went in there, it was very crowded, of course, but I found a little corner near the altar, and I prayed there as well. You know, the power of that place is, I think, the most beautiful covered space in Rome, with the possible exception of St. Peter's. But it sums up the best of the pagan civilization, the best of the philosophy and culture of ancient Rome. And the church has been able to assimilate that to itself, turning into a church, St. Mary of the Martyrs. I then wandered over, not too far from the Pantheon, to the church of Santa Maria sopra Minerva. Sopra Minerva, on top of Minerva, because it was built on the site of a temple to Minerva in the ancient world. So that same idea of the church able to assimilate the ancient culture. That's a Dominican church, and I have a great affinity for the Dominicans. And buried there are Fra Angelico, you know, the great painter, and I prayed there, especially for a lot of artist friends of mine. And also the body of St. Catherine of Siena, one of the really great figures in the spiritual tradition. I spent a good amount of time there. And of course, right in between Fra Angelico's grave and Catherine of Siena's is that magnificent Resurrected Christ by Michelangelo. It's a smaller but still powerful work of Michelangelo. Then I finished with the Dominicans and I wandered over to the Church of the Gesù, which is the headquarters of the Jesuit order. Of course, I had very much in mind Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope. But I prayed at the tomb of St. Ignatius of Loyola. And I had in mind all the Jesuits I've known over the years, including a couple of my colleagues at Mundelein. Then I crossed over and I prayed at the tomb of St. Francis Xavier. And you know, his arm is preserved there, the arm that he used to baptize people all over the Far East. And of course, all I could think of was our work at Word on Fire of the new evangelization. Francis Xavier took a ship and sailed across the world to evangelize. Well, we can now go across the world through things like this video. Through podcasting and through the Catholicism series and many other vehicles. But the same basic task of announcing the Lord. Then, that was about 3 hours of a little spiritual journey. I then made my way over to the Angelicum, the Dominican school, where I taught a couple years ago when I was here. I had lunch with Father Paul Murray, whom I mentioned the other day, but also with Father Jeremy Driscoll. Jeremy is a wonderful Benedictine monk from Mount Angel in Oregon. Teaches half the year here in Rome. He was very active on Vox Clara, the committee that helped to produce the new missal. So the three of us had a kind of wonderful, rollicking conversation. Paul had a beautiful prayer at lunch for the new Pope, Francis, and all three of us felt very enthusiastic about his becoming Pope. I then made my way back to the Tiber and then all the way back up here to the hotel, which is right near the North American College. So I had a great little prayerful, spiritual tour of Rome today. We're preparing for the great Mass on Tuesday, the Mass of Installation. I'll give you some more reports tomorrow and the next day leading up to that. And keep praying for me, please, and pray for the new Pope. And God bless you all.